Come on up! Come on up! Come on up! Come on up! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Capaldi! Cosplayers, thank you. Get off the stage.
Look at you. Look fantastic. Look at his hair. Fantastic.
Either side, either side, either side.
Thank you so much. Hi.
Cosplayers, woo! Oh, with this young man is a microphone for you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, it's on. All right. And thank you for winning our look-alike contest.
I don't think I've got the hair right.
The judges had some questions, but we let it slide.
It's too small.
Dude, thank you for joining us.
Great to be here.
Absolutely great to have you. So, while I got your few minutes before we open up to their questions, are you willing here on our stage to admit that this whole gig has just been a protracted Count of Monte Cristo-esque revenge scheme because they did not make you the president of the Doctor Who fan club?
I think that story's been slightly inflated.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's great. It's fantastic to have been a Doctor Who fan and then to find yourself being Doctor Who and being in the center of the program. It's remarkable.
It certainly is. Why don't you go ahead and, since they're going to ask it anyway, how did you get Pompeii? And at one point, when did you start to get the early warnings of, hey, they want you to come back in for another part?
When Doctor Who came back on TV, I was really excited because I loved the show, but I didn't know anybody who was involved with it, and I didn't expect to ever be in it. And then I got a call saying, they've offered you a role in Doctor Who, and I was like to my agent, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And my wife said, no, you've got to be a professional actor and read the script and see what it's like. So I had to be a professional actor and read the script. Thought, oh, no, this is great. I want to do this. And so went off down to Cardiff with David Tennant, who was absolutely fabulous to me. And had a great time being in the fires of Pompeii and never for a moment thought that there would be, I would have anything more to do with Doctor Who.
You checked that off the bucket list and it was like...
I was just so excited to be there and to see the TARDIS and all of that stuff. And then a couple of years passed and Matt came along and he was fantastic and I loved watching him. Then I began to hear sort of whispers that he was leaving and I was sort of just very interested to know who they were going to cast. And I was reading the newspapers and they would say this guy and this guy and this person and this girl and whatever. And I thought, well, it'll be fantastic to see who they're going to get. Slightly miffed that my name was never, ever there. But I thought, well, you know, I'm too old, really. Probably because they seem to just have young people all the time. And then Mark Gatiss was making An Adventure in Space and Time, which was his documentary, which was the drama he made, great film, about the original Doctor Who, William Hartnell. And he said, he knew I was a big fan, so he said, do you want to come down to the set and see what we've got here? I said, I'd love to. Because they had an old-fashioned TARDIS, and they had old Daleks and stuff there, and I thought, this is great. And then I got my photograph taken with David Bradley, who was playing William Hartnell. And I said to Mark, thanks for letting me get my picture taken with Doctor Who, because when I was growing up, William Hartnell was Doctor Who. And Mark said to me quietly, just in conversation, he said, how do you think you would feel about being Doctor Who? And I thought, that's an odd question. But I thought, well, I said, well, I'm sure that would be great, but I'm sure that that boat has sailed. And he said, I'm not sure. I don't know what they're thinking about. And then we were in this old TARDIS, and I said, can I get my picture taken next to the old TARDIS? And they said, yeah, and I posed next to the TARDIS. But suddenly there was like 50 people taking photographs of me around this TARDIS. And I should have sort of cottoned on then. But I didn't, and I realized it's only recently that Mark's told me, yeah, they were just checking me out to see whether or not I was interested before they approached me. Was I interested? But, it's a big change in your life. So you have to consider your family and consider, your relations and how it's going to affect everyone. So you have to talk about it, for about 5 seconds.
Yeah. And absolutely, we want to ask you for details about the Christmas special, but we are so looking forward to it. It will be bittersweet to see you go, and I will not call her a replacement, but your successor. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that? And where were you when you found out?
I was at home because, and funnily enough, Jodie, who's amazing, lives very close to me, and we didn't know this, and I didn't know it was her. I had met her before, so she isn't someone I would see in a coffee shop and say, "Hello, how are you doing?" But she told me that we had been in many coffee shops over the last couple of months, and she had been itching to say hello, to say that she was about to be the new Doctor Who, but couldn't, obviously.
You can sympathize.
Yeah, but she's great. She's absolutely wonderful. She has such a love and affection for the show, and she's a brilliant actress, and she's going to bring so much passion and vigor to it all, and I think it's a wonderful idea. Great idea.
I was on stage with Alex when she found out. Yeah, it was just like that moment of, ooh. Yeah.
Well, we had a sort of protracted kind of, we only stopped filming like 2 weeks ago, so I had to film my last scene, and then they were still keeping it all secret. They didn't want to reveal Jodie until we had finished filming, so that we could just concentrate on our work. And then they spoke to me before they revealed it to the public, which was very mannerly and kind of them. And I immediately said, "Look, can I talk to Jodie?" And it was just so great. It was just so lovely, and it just reminded me of how exciting that time was when it happened to me, and it was lovely to be able to be a little bit of a part of that.
I know. Smith and Tennant had lunch on the day, and they kind of had a heart-to-heart and passing the torch. And this is what the gig is like, and this,
Yeah, unfortunately for us, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
To do with timing.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit sad because Matt was so fantastic to me, and I would like to have extended that welcome. But I'll do that in some other way.
Well, when you come back on the 55th anniversary special, y'all can have some fun with that. Right. All right then, enough of my John. Why don't y'all come on up? Let's start taking some of your questions. Now, I've got all the rules. You get one question and no requests and all that fun stuff. Okay. There you go.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Fiona. My question was, if you could play any villain from the Doctor Who universe, which one would it be and why?
Any villain? Well, I'd like to play Davros. Doctor. I think I'd be quite good at playing.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Genesis is my favorite.
Yeah, he's great. The Master would be quite fun too. Or I'd quite like to maybe be the controller in Day of the Daleks. He's quite good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, my name is Magnus. My question is, what was going through your mind when you were deciding what your costume would be?
Well, the costume is a very long, drawn-out process because everybody's very worried about it. They're really so concerned that you're going to come out with like a clown's costume or something, dressed as a banana or something, or which I think they'd quite like because they could sell that more easily than my costume. I sort of wanted to, I loved all that had gone before with Matt and David and Chris, but I wanted to sort of pull everything back and make everything very stark and clean. And it seemed to me that I mean, to me, the Doctor always dressed in black. But that's maybe because we only had black and white television
Touche.
in those days. But I think he, that sort of dark, sort of more kind of gothic-y kind of sensibility was what I wanted to invest it with. And also he was kind of, the Doctor, for all of his variations, was kind of born in the 60s. So I wanted to do something that was a reflection of Britain in the 60s, which that kind of, we call it a Crombie coat and a white shirt. Is very British 60s kind of look. So I just wanted to pull everything back and start again so that we could then develop it as we went along.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vivian.
Hi.
Hi. I have a bit of a boring question, but what was the most interesting episode to film in the 9th season?
In the 9th season?
Yes. Or your run in general.
They're all very interesting because they all have their own specific problems. But I guess in that one, the most complex one was the one that with me in it, which was with only me in it. Which was Heaven Sent, which was a beautiful script and fantastically directed by Rachel Talalay, who is an absolutely sensational director. And who is absolutely the real thing, an artist, a filmmaker. So that was fascinating because she came to that with very little time on the script because the script was a little late. But because she's very, very gifted, she brought a great visual and filmic sensibility to it and an understanding of trying to make sequences that were fascinating and arresting and trying to tell this quite, deep and strange story. But also, she was the only person I had to talk to because there were no other actors there. Obviously, the crew were there. They were great because I loved being around them. So that was hard because you get fed up listening to your own voice. And you suddenly realize how lucky you are to have other actors around because they'll add another color or another piece of energy or another piece of another gag or something, and that makes it all keep rolling along. You're a bit frightened when it's just yourself, and you think this is going to be very dull. People listen to my voice, but she did it beautifully. So that was great. That was, I guess, the most challenging one. But it's always a challenge in some way or another, particularly if a monster shows up that's not as cosmic as it should be and begins falling to pieces.
Yeah.
That can be tough. You're welcome. Thank you.
Morning, sir. They say every hero is only as good as his villain, and my question is, how instrumental do you think Missy was to you in developing your character as Doctor Who, and how you guys kind of built up leading up to the Be Kind speech, because the way it all kind of came together, it seemed like the Doctor and the Master kind of went more in depth with themselves and their history like they did this season.
Yeah. We were very, very lucky because we had Michelle Gomez to play that part.
Yeah.
And she made it entirely her own. And she brought it to life with her own particularly spectacular set of skills. She's able to be comic. She's able to be malevolent. She's able to be sinister. She's able to be sad. And she does all these things beautifully, and they all ring incredibly true. So really, I was lucky that she was there, and she had committed so much to that part. And she developed it so that it wasn't just a villain. It became a villain with a heart, but no simple heart, some heart that was bound and barbed wire, that was trying to get out. And so as we became, I guess, Michelle and I have known each other for a long time, and she's fabulous. I love her. So you often find that if you are close with someone or you know someone, you're able to communicate much more deeply. And I think what she did, particularly in the last episode, when she died, was one of the most beautiful scenes I'd seen on Doctor Who. And the way she was able to play both that evil and that melancholy was fantastic. Yeah. So it's all down to her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Well, I'm actually a new Doctor Who fan, and it's because of you. And I'm going to miss you terribly, but it's because of your work in the thick of it. Absolutely loved you there. And so I know a lot of people are going to ask Doctor Who questions, so I was wondering how much of that was actually scripted and kind of you making up some of it, and where did you practice? Because I know that you're a father, so...
Well, are you talking about the thick of it? Or Doctor Who? Or
The
Doctor
thick of it.
So your profanity rants.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Doctor, you have this guy Scaramuccio, whatever his name is. I love coming to America. The sad thing is, it's not a TV show, is it? It's real. So you have this, the Moosh. So I used to play a character who was a little like the Moosh. But he was very profane and used a lot of curse words. And this was in a show called The Thick of It. And I had to... I would be given a script. The script was very well written, beautifully written by Armando Iannucci and his team, fabulous writers, but it was full of cuss words. And they didn't like it if you missed one or got one in the wrong place. They'd say that should really be there, and that should...
You said the S word, you were supposed to say the F word.
Exactly. So I would practice that at home, learn those lines in the kitchen. And the neighbors would hear all this cussing and swearing going on.
That actor's at it again.
That's right. And then I would try finish, but I'd still be in the zone, and I'd go upstairs and say, "Where's the remote control?" And it would be full of cuss words.
Oh no, all dads say that.
Do they? Yeah, so that was rehearsed in the kitchen. And yeah, some of what they would do is they would shoot a scripted version, and then they would shoot an improvised version, and they would take whatever they liked best from each bit. But the majority of it was scripted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's a good question. Here, eat this. Boop. Heads up, turn around.
Thank you.
Hey Peter, I'm Jacob, and I came all the way from Australia to meet you especially.
Oh, good to see you, Jacob.
Yeah, and I just want to say you're truly an inspiration to all of us Whovians here, and I just want to say thank you for coming to Supercon. And also, my question is to you, what has been the most fun about being the Doctor and basically the whole experience in Doctor Who?
Well, thank you for coming.
That's all good.
Really, really appreciate it. You must be very tired.
I am.
Here, you came from Australia, you need that. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Flown all the way. The most amazing thing is kind of occupying this space wherever it is, you know, of being the Doctor in all kinds of different situations. Obviously, this situation is fantastic, and coming to meet fans and connecting with people who love the show and seeing how much the show is loved and being the target for that affection is an incredible place to be. But that works in all kinds of different ways and in all kinds of different levels. And basically waking up in the morning and, you know, the nearest you could get to being Doctor Who is playing Doctor Who. So when you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, I'm going to go into the studio now and blow up some Daleks or, you know, chase a Zygon across a children's playing field, these are all very, very wonderful things to have in your life. It's, but there's that kind of thing about the Doctor. It's a sort of, you know, you walk into a room with a bunch of people and they gasp. You know, that's a pretty amazing experience. And it's not because of me, it's because of the Doctor. So you carry all that history with you when you're in this position. This is why, you know, Jodie's going to have such a fabulous time. Because you get the experience of 50 years of a program played through you. So it's a wonderful experience.
Thank you for answering my question, Peter.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
I just want to say you're amazing. You've inspired me so much. I love this show so much, and how you portrayed him is just phenomenal, okay? But I just wanted to ask, has there ever been any moments in filming or on set that just something went horribly wrong with either acting or a line or any kind of blooper that was really, like, pretty bad or pretty, like, wow?
Not that I could repeat in front of a family audience. No, there's lots of funny things happen. I mean, you know, people always want to hear about gags and stuff like that. We don't really do. You know, it's like any workforce, any factory. There are a lot of gags that only people in the show find funny. You know, so we laugh a lot, but that's really because we are ridiculing other members of the crew and other actors. So it's just the general kind of ridicule.
Like gags among the cast members, you just like joke back and forth to each other, just like.
Yeah, there was a funny. I once Jenna. I used to try to torment Jenna by suggesting her replacement. Is that bad?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And there was a period when I was, you know, I would go through various people that I thought would be fantastic, you know. Billy Piper, I would often say.
my gosh.
Karen Gillan, of course. And, it's fabulous. Oh no, but the gag was that I hit upon an actress who I shan't name, who wasn't in the show, but I kept saying that this was the actress we were talking to, and that would be sensational, would be great. And I came on set one day, and we were filming. I was in the middle of filming, and I turned around to look at Jenna, and she was wearing a mask.
Oh my gosh.
Of this actress.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey, Hamilton. Thank you for wearing a Broadway outfit at a sci-fi convention.
Hi, Peter. Okay, I'm just gonna bring just this. What was going through your head when you found out you had to do the Sonic sunglasses? What was going through your head with that? I just find it the worst thing, and that would happen.
It was a divisive issue in fandom. Fandom was pretty well. It was
a divisive issue.
Fandom was kind of split about they wanted the device or if they were good with the glasses.
Well, I thought it was. Look, let's put any excuse to wear shades.
I thought it was out of style. Bad.
Well, I'll wear shades in the dark. You know. I thought it was a good idea. You know, it was Steven. I'd seen me wearing shades all the time when we'd gone on a world tour, and he decided that would look good. And I think they do look good on the Doctor. I got to say something really divisive here. I'm not a big fan of the whole Sonic thing.
Calm yourself. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Let the man speak.
Was that the sound of a schism? That was a schism happening right there.
Look, in the back, they're walking out. No, come out.
I won't go into detail about it. It's just it was kind of really hard. The sonic screwdriver is very difficult to work with because it's a big. You know, you buy these ones and they're really nice and they're, they're plastic. And the one we have, which is beautifully made, weighs about 25 pounds. And also, the very first sonic screwdriver I had was Matt's. And so I was there, like on my second or third day, really trying to impress people. And there was a scene where, and at that point, I loved the sonic screwdriver, okay? So we were outside doing something in deep breath, and they said, you've got to sonic the, there was a horse tied up or something. So you had to sonic the reins. And we were in this kind of little kind of area with and a stable. And I went like that. I was all ready to go, just like you, like that. And the end of the sonic screwdriver flew off. And went into the bushes. And there was all like this. There was all props guys, because there was only one. So there was all props people. I don't know where it is. Have we got another one? No, we haven't got another. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it was just a nightmare, the whole thing. So therefore, I couldn't go anymore. I had to go and wave it.
Not
And
quite
also,
there.
it's so heavy and it's made of metal. You put it inside your lovely jacket with your scarlet lining, and it rips all the lining.
Oh. But
Sorry, guys.
it's tradition.
I used to be Doctor Who.
Thank you so much.
No, until Christmas, you are Doctor Who. You are not getting off the hook that bad. Thanks, you. Great question.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Logan. My question for you is, and being a fan and actually like going to become the man himself, the Doctor, was there a specific moment where it hit you, say like you're sitting backstage or whipping out the Sonic or putting on your costume where you were like, oh, I'm the Doctor?
Well, there were, that comes in various ways. There's a sort of serious level where as an actor, because you see, what you got to remember is, yes, I'm a fan, but I'm also a professional actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to adopt the approach of a professional actor when I'm on the TARDIS and not go, oh, I'm on the TARDIS. So I got to think about objectives and motivations and all that kind of thing. So I do all of that.
Uh-huh.
So there is a level where you more deeply connect and realize that you are sort of the Doctor, which is when the writing and the direction and everything comes to you, which is when it becomes molded, more cleaves to your individual interpretation. And I think that probably happened, about Listen in the first season.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it was when they put it together. But when you really feel like the Doctor is when we did Kill the Moon, and they said there's these giant spider things and they're crawling around. I thought, oh, great. They're crawling around. And then you look over there and I look over there and then it jumps on you and you have to fight it. And I said, okay, great. Where are the animatronics guys? Where are the puppeteers who are going to operate the giant spider? They said, there aren't any. I said, so how do I fight it? It's just fight it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, bro.
But that's it. They just throw it at you and you fight it. I thought, this is Doctor Who.
Hello, my name's Eddie.
Eddie?
I was wondering, how much improvisational freedom did you have on the set of Doctor Who?
It was never said to me, don't improvise. But neither was it said, improvisation. There was not a big sign up saying, improvise here. Improvisation zone. And I think, I came, I guess, from a tradition of improvising through the thick of it and stuff. So I found it a little bit hard to be... I think it's a bad habit to look at a script and say, oh, I can improve this. Because I don't think that's necessarily true. And certainly with the scripts we have in Doctor Who and Steven's scripts, which are fantastic, I never really felt the need to improvise. I didn't feel as if I wanted to. There wasn't an improvement to be made. Sometimes I was a little rough with them and tried to change things, but I don't think that was ever terribly successful. And I think it's a bad, if you're an actor, it's easy to say, oh, I wouldn't say this line. What is much harder is to say, how can I say that line in a way that expresses the story I want to tell? And I think that's the discipline that I enjoy more. So I didn't improvise a great deal. A lot of other people did, but in a way, I sort of felt then I had to be the person who stuck to the script in order to allow other people to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Peter. Big fan, and also you're right about the sonic screwdriver damaging the lining of your pocket. It's true even with the plastic ones.
The plastic?
Yes, I had to have someone repair my pocket.
That's terrible. I always wanted a holster. And I used to put it down there. But that could hurt.
Yeah. I got it really good.
It would have looked badass, though. You gotta admit that.
It would. Anyways, my question is, I've actually seen you. I've seen these videos on YouTube of you making sort of talking about your favorite Doctor Who episodes, and I was looking at each particular Doctor and the ones you did not mention, 5, 6, and 7. Were there any favorites from each of them that you had?
No, they're great, but what happened there is quite simple. Roundabout towards the end of Tom Baker's time, I left school and discovered, I went to college. And I wasn't in on a Saturday afternoon watching TV. I was out growing up and exploring a different aspect of myself. And so to my shame, I didn't watch the show so much then. So it wasn't a choice of, it wasn't about favoritism, it was about biology.
Makes sense.
And then it came back.
And in your defense too, that was before DVRs and internet and on demand. Is you had one chance to watch the show, and if you missed the time slot, you're done. And
it wasn't there; it was over.
Yeah,
didn't see it.
You were doing other things.
Yeah.
Good question, boss. Thank you. Here you go. Good catch.
Hi, I'm Sarah. And my question is, you're pretty famous as the Doctor, and you probably have a lot of fans come up to you. What's like the weirdest or most like awkward experience you've ever had with a fan?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. I have to be honest and say I haven't had any awkward experiences. And I'm not just trying to be corny. But people always ask me that question, particularly in the UK. People are always they want to hear a story about some weird thing that happened to you with some slightly threatening person.
Will you take me in your TARDIS? Will you take me?
That's right. Oh, it was him all the time. He's international. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes your personal space gets a little crowded. People get a little bit too close. But generally people are very, very sweet and very nice. I mean, sometimes, someone will send you a full-size knitted version of yourself. Or giant cushions with my face drawn all over them. And not a lot of other people, it's hard to gift them again. So they're all over my house. My house is just a big shrine to me. Now, but the fans have been I'm not saying it because you're all fans, but I mean, if there are any of you who have got an awkward situation you'd like to draw me into, perhaps we should do that afterwards.
Now, when you say knitted, you're not talking about puppets, though, right? Because Kathleen David, who made your puppet, is right over there.
I'm talking about knitted, not the fabulous puppets. Those are amazing. I mean a full-size, almost full-size, knitted version of me full of cotton wool. No, that's fabulous. Look at that. There's William Hartnell. Why didn't we have him? I wish it had been the Christmas special.
Would play through the bark. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Alex, and growing up watching Doctor Who, were there any doctors that you were inspired by?
I was inspired by them all. I mean, I grew up, as I just explained, really, the show started when I was like 6. So it was always around and I always watched it. And so those first 4 doctors, William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, were sort of constants in my life. And I think even if I hadn't become the Doctor, they would have influenced the kind of actor that I was going to become. Because I was always interested in them. I was always interested in what they did. I loved horror movies. I loved Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, all those sort of actors. So they and the doctors were the people who I observed most closely, as opposed to watching, like Laurence Olivier or whatever, stuff like that. I'm a B-movie guy, so so I think probably I think they had an influence on how I acted anyway, and so sometimes they do kind of reappear. Sometimes they because they're sort of inside me somewhere, so they do emerge from time to time.
Thank you. And you mentioned Peter Cushing. He is a Doctor Who, sort of.
Of course he is, yeah. And I got to meet him, which was
really
amazing, yeah. Which I always remember because he used to, things were very, very different in those days. And so to actually see for real someone from TV or movies was extraordinary. And he came to Glasgow, where I lived in Scotland, and he used to do a lot of work for deaf charities. And he opened a fete that they had for a deaf charity, and I went to see him. And he wrote me the most beautiful message. I got a 10x8 picture of him, and he took his time and wrote a very, very long message. Wouldn't be able to do it now here. He'd be like, bye. He looked this great. And the funny thing was, his autograph was quite ornate. And I was very taken with it. And he has the same initials as I have. So I copied his autograph. So although you might not recognize it, because I don't have the time that he had, my autograph, Peter Capaldi, is a little echo of Peter Cushing's autograph.
Round of applause for that.
Hello.
Hi, my dear. Hi.
How was it like working with Steven Moffat and these amazing people?
It was incredible. I mean, Steven is the most extraordinarily gifted man. His ability to tell stories, and stories that are both exciting, scary, funny, witty, and sad, is out of this world. I mean, to be able to do that's really being a writer. That's really the real thing. To be able to touch all the bases that he does. Steven had to work incredibly hard on the show. A lot of people don't realize about Steven is. I'll often hear people say, I much prefer this script or that script that somebody else wrote. What they don't realize is that Steven wrote a lot of it. Sometimes the ones that they are citing as being superior to Steven's scripts are scripts that Steven has had to come in and fix. So you hear his voice throughout every episode of Doctor Who, and through a lot of stories that you think he's got nothing to do with. It's Steven that's there. And he's absolutely brilliant. And he's hilarious. And one of my every season I used to go to his house before we started, and he would take me through the whole season and explain what was going to happen.
Ooh, so you got the overarch plot and all that?
Yeah, but performed by him in his kitchen. And I always...
What is it with you TV people in your kitchen?
Come on, kitchen's where it all happens. That's where the creative work happens. And it was hilarious. It was absolutely brilliant. I wish I'd recorded them because A, they were hilarious, and B, half the stories never appeared.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Hello. Okay, yes. Not only have you played the Doctor, but you've come in, A, at the 50th anniversary special, and B, your final episode, the Christmas episode, is going to be with the first Doctor. So how does it feel to have like that kind of historical bridge going on?
I think that's great. I mean, I'm really, for me personally, that was quite moving because when I was a kid, there was no merchandise, or very, very little. The show was broadcast, and that was it. You didn't see it, you missed it. You never saw it again. So these characters and the character of the Doctor were very, very powerful and sort of lived in one's imagination. And we would have things, every year they used to publish a book that was like just comic strip of Doctor Who and new stories of Doctor Who.
With his grandchildren?
With his grandchildren.
Yeah.
They were always they were not canon, they weren't kind of quite, and they were called the Doctor Who Annual. And on the cover would be a very beautifully painted image of the current Doctor, and William Hartnell has a very beautiful one. His very first one's fantastic. But so when I worked with David Bradley, who's magnificent and absolutely brilliant, I would turn and look at him sometimes on the set, and he'd be standing next to the TARDIS, and he would be the living annual, you know. Yeah. He'd be this thing from my childhood that was suddenly alive. And I think these things that happen in your childhood and make an impression on you in this way are very powerful. I can't quite articulate them, and I think that's also one of the things that happens in Doctor Who. We talk about it a lot, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't know why or how it has this effect, but it has a kind of powerful, potent effect. And so working with David as William Hartnell was like that. Although one day, I did see him come out of makeup one day without his William Hartnell wig on, and he had his own rather ragged hair, and he looked like he was from Game of Thrones again. And he looked very scary.
Thank you. Just want to mention the last season was great. Looking forward to the Christmas special.
On David, when they made the Adventures in Time and Space a couple of years ago and they recreated the sets, and I was just like, this is good, but why don't we just do a lost adventure of the first Doctor? And now my Christmas wish is coming true.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's, you know, I suggested at the time that it might be a good idea to go and do a whole other series with. I can't understand why, you know, people are always looking for a Doctor Who spin-off. But you have all of these other Doctors. You know what? Why don't we have a series with Paul McGann? You know, as a spin-off. I don't mean as a you know, to replace what the new season. I mean, let's do a show.
If we have another Wilderness year, if somebody wants to go off and do Hamlet again or something like that, let's do another Doctor adventure.
Yeah, but they could have Sylvester, or they could have Colin or Peter. You know, all of the guys. It'd be great.
Are you thinking about doing Big Finish?
You can't do it when you're...
but when later on, when the dust has settled, or might that be on the horizon?
Sure, I'm sure, yeah.
Hello. Seeing as you're both a fan and a doctor yourself, what would you say, either from the...
Is that your real accent?
Actually, it's not at all.
It's a very good accent.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I'm assuming it's Scottish. You think it's Scottish?
The original one was Scottish, yes, sir.
It's very good.
But seeing as you're both a fan and a doctor yourself, what would you say, either from the reboot or the classics, is your favourite episode?
Well, I don't like to pick a specific one. I mean, there are stories that I think are you know, I always, you know, you got to remember I was around when they first went out. So that was they made an impression on me as a child that, you know, when you go back and look at them, that impression is somewhat withered a little because they perhaps don't look as great, but they were only designed to be shown on that day. I can't, you know, something like the Dalek invasion of Earth, you can't imagine how impressive that was at the time. And to see Daleks on Earth and to see that Dalek emerging from the water, it's you know, burned into my memory. The Web Planet with all those fantastically imaginative insect creatures. Now, I know you look at them now and you go, oh, that's just a lycra suit with some a nylon fur stuck on it. Why are they talking in that silly voice? And look, the insect bumps into the camera. I don't care. It's the imagination. It's the idea. The idea is so powerful and exciting. I love, you know, the Day of the Daleks. I love Ark in Space, Genesis of the Daleks. I love Rose. I think Rose is fantastic. I think Billy Piper's amazing, and Chris Eccleston is just fabulous. You know, how brave. You know, Christopher Eccleston, nobody knew Doctor Who was going to be this. Nobody knew it was going to be successful. And Christopher Eccleston, who's a wonderful and highly respected actor, said, yeah, I'll go and do that. And he was fantastic. You know, he was amazing.
Here.
So, yeah.
Frank, have her an accent that impressed him. Here we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. And I have to say, that was probably the best answer he could have given, just saying, I can't pick one. They're all great.
And I'm afraid this young man will have to be our last question. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, keeping on the topic of the Christmas special,
if you yourself could co-star alongside any of the classic Who actors that played any companion or another doctor, which would you pick?
I think it would be nice to do a show with Katie Manning. She's pretty amazing, I think. I think she would be fun to work with. Yeah. Is that okay? You look a little disappointed.
No, it was a great answer.
Was it?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here asking a question to you, even.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I got a high sign. We got a few more minutes, so yeah, make it a lightning round. Let's go.
I'm a bit nervous.
It's okay, don't worry. I'm nervous too.
If you could have a crossover with a movie cartoon like Star Wars, Star Trek, or Rick and Morty, which one would it be?
The Flintstones. Have to be the Flintstones, the greatest program ever made. The TARDIS would show up in Bedrock. Just when Fred was outside the door, bang, Wilma! What's wrong with you? I can't get in my house! Who are you? I'm the doctor. This is the Stone Age?
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, David Tennant's on DuckTales as Scrooge McDuck, and I was lobbying. I wanted you to play his arch nemesis, Flintheart Glomgold. But
They didn't ask me.
Nah.
Hi. For your latest 3 seasons, who did you enjoy working with better, Jenna or Pearl?
You don't have to answer that.
They're both amazing. They're fantastic. They're both brilliant actresses. So they're both wonderful. So both equally.
Hi, Capaldi. I was the vicar doctor who stopped by your table or guest her. I'll try and make this real quick. I'll do the abridged version of my question.
Thank you.
I'm going to go in for a heart transplant and liver transplant fairly soon. And for people who have special needs and are going through medical issues, as the doctor, can you give any words of inspiration to help us get through this stuff?
Fear is a superpower. That speech that the doctor had in Listen. Is laughter the best medicine? I'm not sure about that when you're on the table.
True.
But certainly a psychological attitude that makes you appreciate that your body has to, your body's tough. Your body can go through a lot of stuff, but you're still scared. But being scared is part of the deal. Being scared is part of your protection. And being scared is what makes us human. So I think the great speech that the doctor has about fear being a superpower, about how it accelerates your reactions, how it makes you faster, cleverer, smarter, it's a useful thing to think about. I know this because this is one of the wonderful things that happens on Doctor Who. There's something about the show, I don't know what it is, that people connect with in a quite deep level, as well as on a level of just, B-movie, blowing up monster stuff. And I have had people, and I had a lady come and talk to me about this and tell me that she had 2 boys who were suffering from quite considerable illnesses and had to go through a lot of procedures. And she used that listen speech, the fear is a superpower, a lot to help them. So I wish you the very best of luck. I'm sure you're going to be fine.
Thank you.
Give it up for him.
Come on.
All right, and you will be our last question. Okay.
Thank you. What was your most emotional scene to film in Doctor Who?
Well, I always get quite emotional in the scenes because I think it was sad saying goodbye to Jenna. I think when the doctor lost his memory and wasn't able to communicate with her, or when she wiped his memory, I think that was quite sad. Because also Jenna and I were sort of saying goodbye to each other without, often you find the characters say do farewells better than the actors. So whatever your affection is for the other person comes through the lines. But I suppose just what we did, just leaving the show, just doing the regeneration was sad, but right. And also it's a beautiful scene, and Steven's written it beautifully, and we spent a lot of time on it. But that was a little tough.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So before we wrap up, I just want to say this. First of all, thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for coming down here. And even though we're going to be sad to see you go on Christmas, I just want to let you know on behalf of everybody else here, okay, we're fans of Doctor Who, but we're also fans of you. And whatever project you go forward on, we're going to can't wait for that. Whatever it is, on theater, on big screen, little screen, we're going to follow you all the way. Peter, thank you for being our friend.